H-U-L-L-C-I-T-Y. That's all we need.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Tigers Down Under. I'm your host, Alex, and with me today I have Dill. How are you, Dill?
Hey, doing pretty good. How you doing?
That's good. Yeah, I'm doing well. It's nice we've got the final international break out of the way, coming off the back of 4 points gained for City, which is always handy, and then a big game to look forward to this weekend as well. So I guess the run-in for the end of the season kind of starts now, which is interesting. It'll be exciting. We're sort of starting things off on the right foot with the results so far. So jump into the Oxford game, which, we actually managed to watch together, which was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Bit of a different experience. How did you find that game? Obviously, going 1-0 down, you sort of think it's just going to be one of those days where we just can't get it done. But we actually managed to turn it around and get the victory, which was pretty awesome.
I guess especially at that point, and it wasn't like a totally scrappy game, but I guess there was some chances created earlier on, with Coyle and whatnot. But yeah, as soon as we conceded, I was really worried that it was just going to be one of those games. But yeah, didn't turn out like that. And also, what was it? 7 a.m., 6 a.m. beers? I don't know.
7 a.m. beers, yeah. It's always a good way to start the day when it comes to the win. Definitely helps. Look. It was interesting. It was definitely one of those games where it felt like we were creating a number of chances. Gelhardt in particular, I thought, and watching back the highlights just sort of highlighted how he was sort of just in everything. Like he was creating things for himself. He got on the end of that shot, the cross from Kamara, made that cross for Coyle, which, a couple of inches difference, and that's a fantastic goal for Coyle.
Yeah.
He's just really sort of emerging as one of our most important players.
Yeah, he's really good at just standing out, and you can tell he's working hard at. I think players like him, they always seem to be. It's never luck. They're always in the right positions at the right times, and they're always trying to create something. And sometimes it might go, horribly wrong. But he's got a bit of sparkle to his game, and I'm really enjoying the way he's playing. Do we have him on a perm?
No, it's a loan. I think they were saying. I think on the last episode thought we might be able to get him for a couple of million, but it sounds as if Leeds are probably looking for more like 5 million. I don't know if that puts him out of our price bracket or not. I think it's one of those ones where, because he's actually doing pretty well for us, I think a few clubs are probably a bit more interested than they would have been, which is unfortunate. But look, like you say, I mean, his goal in this game, Palmer as well. Palmer coming off the bench, receiving the ball and sort of swiveling or turning through the Oxford player to play the ball to Gelhardt. Gets a bit of luck coming off the defender, but still, as you say, puts himself in that position. It's like his goal against Plymouth, where he sort of wrong foots the defence and gets through. He's the one playing on the front foot. He's the one making those runs. And if you don't try it, nothing's going to happen. So, great for him. Palmer coming on. I mean, we made that triple substitution right after they scored. I think we're lining it up just before they scored their goal from the corner, which would have been frustrating for Sayers to concede in that manner. Palmer, I thought, was another one who was really brilliant when he came on. I'll talk about him in the West Brom game as well, because another good cameo off the bench. But cool. I thought his him and Burstow as well, because Burstow then giving the ball to Puerta for the winner. I thought the substitutions were fantastic.
Yeah, it definitely worked, and that inspires confidence in Ruben, I think, to be able to pull that out. And I've always sort of liked Palmer's playing. I'm glad he's back, and he seems pretty fit at the moment. I wonder if he'll start getting more starts, but and I think it also takes a bit of experience. I thought he was going to take a shot himself when they were in that position leading up to the box, but in the Oxford game. But I guess it just takes, he's got a bit of experience under his belt to sort of not do that, not be selfish with it, and be able to pass it along to Joe. The conceding, I thought that was pretty rough. It was a really bad read by Hughes. I think if you watch the replay, he gets completely caught out and he'll crack a goal, to be honest, for them to give them credit in Oxford. But yeah.
Not a great one. I was going to say, Crooks as well, because I'm sort of talking whether Palmer starts to start a few games. I think probably the most obvious like for like in the team at the moment is Crooks, who in this one was playing up top with not Puerta. We'll get to his suspension later, but Pedro was out suspended for this one. I just don't know if he's got the legs necessarily to play up top. He just seemed to be a bit slow, didn't really get involved too much in the game. And I think it was him that went off Palmer, and Palmer, looked a bit more lively when he came on. I'm trying to think who probably shifted up front when Crooks went off. I suppose it must have been Joseph, or maybe they were sort of rotating between Joseph and Gelhardt, and you got a few options there because Burstow as well came on. He can also play up top. So it was very much sort of that fluid front three, front four, which was a bit interesting. But yeah, I don't know about Crooks up top. I think Crooks is probably either off the bench or maybe in that 10 role, maybe.
He's got a bit of a charm to him where I think, if we need a bit of luck, he's who we need to bring on the field. But yeah, I don't know about starting. Because I think he scored twice this year.
Yeah, that's right. Because he scored against Sheffield United and against not Stoke. Who was it?
And they
Stoke?
didn't.
It was Stoke.
Oh,
Yeah,
it could have been. Yeah, but and those goals didn't come out of nowhere. But he just sort of whipped those out.
Who did he score against? Because Mataza scored against Stoke. It's going to really bug me now because he scored that near post.
Goals. Yeah,
he scored that near post goal. And I'm completely blanking on who it was against. I thought it was someone else was it Cardiff maybe? No, I don't know. Anyway, doesn't really matter. He scored 2 goals. Yep. And I can picture the goal, I can't picture the team. But look, I think he's an interesting, as you say, he can kind of create a goal from nothing. So you kind of do want to throw him on, but maybe off the bench where he can run against a few tired legs might be better for him. Someone who did have a good run through the Oxford team was Puerta with that second goal, where I just, it's the sort of chance that we don't seem to take too often, where he gets to the byline and you think he could be trying to force a corner or something like that, but he thinks, he drops the shoulder and just tries to get inside and take that shot, which was a lot like earlier in the season. Palmer scored the third goal against Stoke, where it was like sort of the cross or the cut back from the byline that sort of rebounds off a few players and goes in. I think it got credited to Puerta, even though initially they were saying it was an own goal, which was, awesome for him. I mean, it was sort of an interesting, sort of like Pedro as well, scoring and then probably only about 10 minutes later getting himself sent off. So it's a pretty eventful end to the game for him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Those to concede a goal, right on your line like that, I think it's got to be nightmarish, and especially on the inside of the keeper. I didn't get to watch the West Bromwich. I've just been, as you know, busy catching up on life and whatnot. But so I've even been yet to be able to watch the WBA game, the highlights, and I saw everyone going off in the group chat around the red card and whatnot. But yeah. I didn't actually realize that there was a red card right at the end of the Oxford game. I totally forgot about that until I just started looking at the stats here.
Yeah, it was because I remember it's funny. I actually said to you at the time, if he's gone down and it's not a penalty, is it a dive, and therefore is the ref going to card him?
That's right.
And I actually thought, if there's, it's such a tough one because, on one hand, I can see kind of both sides of it, where you go, okay, well, if he's exaggerating contact, if he's trying to draw the penalty, is that strictly a dive, or is it just I don't know. I think it's if someone tackles a player, or there's a coming together of two players and the ref goes, there's contact, but it's not enough for a penalty, play on. If you're pushing a player, I feel like at worst it's got to be the same sort of thing where they go, look, it's a push, but there's not enough contact for it to be a penalty. It's play on.
Yeah.
If there's physical contact for a push, I don't know how you can say, oh, it's a dive, I'm going to card you. Even if you think, oh, they're exaggerating the contact, they're not exactly making it up. It's not like it was you know, a fresh air. It's not like he's put a foot out and Puerta's dived over it where there's no contact and you go, yeah, it's a dive.
And like you see the replay, it was pretty forceful. So
yeah, and like you go, there's the tackle, there's the push, there's everything. And I think also people have sort of said, well, maybe the ref didn't even realize he was on a booking and thought, oh, you know, give him a yellow card just to try and cut out the nonsense, and then it's gone. Actually, he's already in the book. I've got to send him off now. So it's a tough one. Like as you say, like we'll talk West Brom in a second, where you know Slater came in and thankfully it didn't look like it had too much impact on the game, but certainly still a frustrating one to, especially while you've got Pedro out suspended as well, to be sort of losing so many players for the suspensions as well as injuries isn't too welcome.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, who are your MVPs for this one?
Oh, geez. Probably Gelhardt for 3 points. Actually going to go Pandor for 2 points.
Yeah.
And then...
Made some good saves.
Yeah, and then Puerta.
Yeah, nice one. Yeah, so I had Gelhardt for the 3. I thought he was sort of head and shoulders above for the 3 votes with what he was able to do in the game. I went Palmer for the 2 just for his impact off the bench and that sort of composure playing the ball through to Gelhardt. I thought was very well taken. And then I went Puerta for the 1 vote as well. I thought his energy in midfield. He's really. It's funny. It's sort of everyone. The same people. I feel like the same people who were sort of saying, well, you know, he's not playing because there's other good midfielders and he's not, you know, some amazing player. When we were all sort of talking about why he wasn't playing because of the potential of the appearance clause or whatever, saying, oh, you know, he's not that important. And now turning around and saying, oh, you know, he was really missed because of the suspension because he's such a good player. And you go, it's interesting having those sorts of flip-flops. But no, I thought he was really important and he's really showing the last few games. I think he's getting that confidence. He's getting that swagger. He's got that energy. Hopefully, if we haven't already, hopefully we make that deal permanent in the summer. I think he'd be worthwhile keeping here for next season.
100%.
We'll talk West Brom. Like, you know, as you said, you didn't get to catch it. And to be honest, not a whole lot happened in the first half in particular. So it really did center around the last 15 minutes of the game. Burstow and Slater came in for Puerta and Kamara for this one. But it was interesting. I think Sayers said that Kamara wasn't dropped, wasn't whatever. It was deliberately like a tactical decision to say, okay, well, we'll save Kamara, bring him on late, let him run at the West Brom players and create a bit of havoc. And that's certainly what he did because he got on the end of the cross from Palmer for the equaliser. And then right at the end in the last couple of minutes, I think it was, I want to say it was Palmer again. It might have been someone else, played the ball through to him in space, you know, one-on-one with the keeper, but I wouldn't say it was like a should have scored. Like I think he had a really good chance to score. He definitely, you know, with a bit of better placement, maybe he finishes it, but the keeper comes out so quickly off his line, really good reaction speed to close it down. Does make it tough for Kamara, and I think the ball to him is a bit behind him as well, so he has a bit to do with it. But I thought it sort of highlighted, I think, Sayers' again, like you were saying with the Oxford game. I thought Sayers gets a lot of credit from this game, where you go, you know, we fell one behind, but you know, through a pretty unlucky shot from the edge of the area, and you go, not like maybe we just need to mark the player up a bit better, but to then get back into the game, score the goal, and then really look like we could win it means, you know, 4 games undefeated, 8 points from 4 games, so going at 2 points a game. It's a really good run of form we're on now. And West Brom, you know, sitting there 6th in the table, like they're a decent side. So it's actually, in all things considered, a really valuable point, even though, you know, as Mike said in the chat, with Derby winning, we're sort of closer to the relegation zone than we were going into the game. It does still feel like a point gained in my mind, at least. Like, I don't know, having not seen the game, but, you know, sort of reflecting on the result in the context of everything, how do you feel about that as a point?
Well, just sort of, but how you described it with, Ruben, I guess, not really a masterclass. But like, I was just thinking the confidence that it brings probably to the rest of the team when you can start trusting your manager to make these sorts of decisions. And it sounds like the players are starting to really listen to him and know what they need to do, especially with how you talked about Kamara coming on and wreaking havoc. But yeah, I think we were talking a few weeks ago about how many points realistically we need to statistically stay above. And I can't remember how many that was, but like I think we need to get to something like 50 points total in the season. But this, 4 games undefeated, was it? Like that's awesome. And it feels good. And I feel like there's not many what's the word? Sirens going off at the moment. So
I don't know how if you can read that at all or how that on the screen, but yeah, I mean, sitting there on 41 points, yes, we're only 3 points above the relegation zone plus goal difference. You just have to think, and we'll talk Luton in a second, but you think 3 points from that, you're looking at the form line of some of these other sides. It does sort of raise the prospect of jumping up to at least sort of 17th or 18th sort of on the table, which can all of a sudden really change the dynamic of, whether we're looking up or down the table, so to speak. You kind of have to think that Derby's winning run doesn't continue. I mean, who knows? But 3 wins in a row isn't exactly sustainable. Teams are down here for a reason. Like you think,
exactly,
they're going to drop some points at some point, and it feels like 4 games undefeated, and we're still not really pulling clear. It does feel like that one more win should sort of break us free of that. Feels like a gravitational pull from the relegation zone. We just got to keep getting sucked back towards it. But so I think it's an interesting one. Like, a point gained against West Brom, I think. And I think it's also a really good point that you made there about the players' confidence in Sayers, where you think it must become much easier for Sayers talking to the players about who's going to start the game, where you're not necessarily saying to a player, I'm dropping you, or, I'm not valuing you as highly. You're actually saying to someone like a Kamara, I do actually really value you. I just recognize your strengths as being, that much more important later in games. And so you start to change the narrative a bit in terms of that, and you get players buying in a lot more and not sulking and getting annoyed if they're not starting games, which is only a good thing.
Yeah, it's a happier, it's a happier locker room, and especially coming into the end of the season. God, that's gone quick. I think it's like that every year, but it just seems like we've got 8 games left or something, and we're going to do it all again. Hopefully, better this time. But I think it sounds like Ruben's having a positive impact and on the locker room, and I hope he's still with us by the time we get to the end and there isn't another coup or something like that. But I think he'll do really well for us. Hopefully, you seem to see his style change a little bit, or maybe not style, but he seems to improve himself in the squad after these international breaks. And so that's what I'm actually really keen for the Luton game because of that. And I might have even talked about it, I think maybe last year or earlier this year, just the best way to, I guess, judge a manager is by the progress that they make from, some losses that we shouldn't have, and, maybe some wins that we're able to learn from. And I think he's done that. And, if he can bring confidence to the fans, I'm sure he's bringing confidence to the whole system that is Hull City. So, yeah.
Well, I think that's it. And like you said, the Oxford win was the second in a row at home. You're starting to see that home form turning as well. It means heading into this Luton game, and I'll give my votes in a second for that one before we talk Luton in detail, but it just means that the pressure on this game isn't magnified because you're not also looking at it as, we've got to turn the home form around. It is just, yes, it's still a big game and there's a lot riding on it, but you're sort of sitting there now on the back of 2 home wins. You're going, okay, this is actually something that the fans hopefully can be more confident about, players a bit more, up for it in that sense, and sort of that monkey off the back, so to speak, with like that home performance uplift. So for the West Brom game, so I was going Kamara for the 3 votes. I thought he really turned the game off the bench.
Yep.
Palmer again off the bench was great, so 2 votes for him. And then I went Hughes for the 1 vote. I thought, sort of making up for the Oxford game, I thought he was really impressive in this one. And I think it's sort of the way you're going to get with like these younger players, where they're not going to have that consistent. And it's sort of what we saw last year to an extent, where you get these younger players where you have some weeks where they look fantastic and up for it and really like composed and consistent. And then other weeks where for whatever reason, like they just don't have that same level because they just haven't found that consistency in their game. But I thought he was awesome against West Brom in that one. So Luton, this weekend, I think it's a 2 a.m. game here in Sydney. Thankfully, I think
at 10:30.
10:30.
Oh, so it'll be 11:30 for you.
That's all right. 11:30 is better. You are right. 11:30. Fantastic. Okay.
I got a wedding, so I wish it was 11:30. It's 10:30 for me, so hopefully we're home by then.
Yeah, but no, it's a good call. So 11:30, not 2 a.m., which is better. And then I have a feeling the clocks are switching reasonably soon, which means that we'll be done with these incredibly late games.
Is it like April they do that, or May?
Maybe? Yeah, I think it's early April. I did have it up before because I was looking at it for work. Daylight savings on the 6th of April.
There you
go. What's that?
Well, 12 a.m. The Sheffield game, it's 12 a.m. for me. I don't know what it says for you.
1 a.m. for me. Yeah, okay. For Sheff Wednesday. And then it must be the week after where it switches in England as well. Yeah. Because then the next, so Swansea's at midnight instead of 2 a.m., which is fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
So 11:30, which is good, at 10:30 for you. Matt Bloomfield's manager there, he took over after Rob Edwards was sacked. We lost to them earlier in the season at their place. They've got 2 wins in their last 4 games, so they're starting to show some form. I don't know if you've seen the highlights. I watched the championship highlights show last week when they played Middlesbrough, and they battered Middlesbrough in the first half. Like there were chances where it was like, I don't know, 3 Luton players running into goal, and you're like, it's just like a certain goal, right? And then like somehow the keeper makes a save or they hit the post or something. You go, this is the most ridiculous 0-0 I think I've ever seen. Yeah, so, but then in the second half they were average and awful, and didn't look up to it. So it's one of those ones where you go, okay, we just have to weather the storm. It's similar to Plymouth, where you go like weather the storm. They've been in good form. They've got their tails up, but if we can see it through, get a goal or just sort of, disrupt their rhythm or whatever, you'd sort of back us at home. I think they've been pretty awful away from home. So I'm sure they'll be up for this one, sort of relegation pointer, so to speak. But I don't know, like, Luton is such a hard one because they're obviously like a relegated club. They've got quality players, but at the same time, like their form's not been great. And you kind of go, well, really, we should be winning this one. I
really feel for, I guess, Luton fans, because what a fall from grace. Damn. I don't even know how to explain sort of what they've been up to this season, but I hope they fix whatever's going on. Maybe after
not at our expense.
Exactly. So maybe a little bit later they can do that in preseason. But I don't know. Depending on sort of they won against us at their home ground last time. So I don't know. I'd like to see. We're home for this one, aren't we? And when you were talking about 2 wins at home so far, in the last however long, that's awesome. Let's make it 3.
Let's make it 3. Yeah. So I think Puerta's obviously available for this one now. I think it's Pedro's 3rd and final game of his suspension, so he's still out.
Yeah, I was going to ask about him, how long it was just a 3 game.
3 game, yeah. So he'll be back for that Sheff Wednesday game. So it's interesting. I mean, talking about the fact that I didn't love Crooks up top for Pedro, I wonder look, we might see it again, whether we see Joseph maybe going up top instead, Puerta maybe coming back into midfield for Slater. But really, I think one of the big things as well is just the consistency we're starting to see in the lineup, which is a really good thing.
Yep.
Knock on wood, not as many injuries, not as much disruption to the side. Can only be a good thing. And I think I saw Sayers turn down the chance to go to Turkey over the international break, so he's sort of kept everyone at home. Palmer was meant to go away to Jamaica, but turned that down to stay with us as well, which was
true.
like a really like turning down a chance to go over for international duty for I think it was their World Cup qualifying or something like that. So it's a big thing. It does sort of give a good sign that the squad's very much focused and aligned in terms of focusing on this Luton game. You'd have to think like all signs point to like a really like settled, focused squad to make it 3 from 3 at home.
Yeah, it'd be awesome, and I'm glad it's settled now and not 3 games out of the season's end, because 8 fixtures I'm sure they'll go just as quick as this whole year's gone, but this whole season. But I've got a lot of confidence going into this game, and even if it's one of those ones, we talk about how the teams that do well are the ones that are able to ice these games, and I think this is probably a good opportunity now that we do have this form and we do have this, I guess, semi-solid squad now, that I kind of want to see what Ruben does to be able to like ice this game and like do really well. Because how many other lower table games do we have coming in? I think the rest of
Derby, I think, is the other big one. Yeah. So there's a couple of Portsmouth on the final day. So that's I would like to hope that we've got it sorted before then. I don't want to be taking it to the final day. But no, it's a really good point, and it's like it shows how quickly things can turn in the championship, where you go, well, hang on, like we're top 6 for form, something like that. Like we're going to Sheffield United, we're going to West Brom, we're going to who was the other one? Sunderland, and getting results where you go next season, you just tighten up a little bit with your consistency against these teams around us and the bottom teams, start picking up more wins. All of a sudden you're looking at top half, top 6 sort of form without really changing all that much. It's really just not losing those games or not drawing those games against teams that you shouldn't be. And it's all it takes to turn from being a team battling in sort of 16th to 18th to 6th to 8th sort of thing. So it's a crazy division like that, I think. Like you say, like to show if we continue to progress and ice these sorts of games, it bodes really well for what could come next season.
And I'm sure we'll get around to doing a season review in a couple of months, but like you kind of like, I don't want to think about it too much, but like how late we left it to switch out Tim for Ruben. But it's always like these what ifs, but like that it's a perfect representation of the championship table, and especially this season. And I think like last season it was probably one of the hardest like championship tables that they're like I've seen in a long time. Like there were a lot of quality teams, and there's quality teams and players in this season as well, but like you can tell like us sitting at 19th, and we sort of thought for a while there that we were the worst of the worst for a little bit, but then you realize there's quite a few other teams who are just battling it out the exact same that we are. But it's a good reflection of the table at the moment, like the games that matter the most, to sort of hopefully reach mid-table of those ones, like what we've got coming up, Luton and Derby and Plymouth.
Yeah, I mean, like over the last 6, we're 6th in the form table, and over the last 10, we're 8th in the form table. And you just think, yeah, absolutely. Like the delay in signing players in the summer, so we sort of gave up on those first 3 or 4 games of the season, and then the delay in sacking Volta, where you think we just basically gave points away, and you add sort of 10, 12 points to our tally as things stand, and you're in a completely different sort of position. You'd still be sort of battling for the playoffs at this point, even with sort of the way we've played at times and the injuries that we've had. Like, it's easy to forget just how unlucky we've been to an extent with, the Hughes appendix, the Balumi and Miller ACLs and the Matazo ACLs and Brano suspension. Like, there's so many different things.
Imagine going into these games with Balumi, or just even the last however long. I always forget that they were starting to look like a really good proponent for, like, just component of our team and our squad. And but credit to Sayers for trying to, like, keep everything gelled with everything that's gone on. I think that's also another testament to him. So I'm really enjoying how, like, sort of what I'm watching at the moment. Obviously, would like us to be 12, maybe 15 places higher. But that's going into Luton. I'm really excited for it.
Score prediction?
Let's go 2-0.
I like it. Yeah, good. I'll say similar. I'll say 2-0. Be nice to get a clean sheet and just have a comfortable home win. And yeah, I do feel like this is I feel like I say this a lot. I feel like this is the one where if we can get the win, will really start to pull us away from the relegation zone. And like you say, these last 8 games will fly by, and you do start getting to that point where you go, well, you start talking like mathematical safety. You start going, well, there's 5 games left, 15 points, and you go, okay, we're 8 points clear.
Footy math.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So look, here's to 3 points against Luton, and thank you for joining me for this one.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks everyone for listening in. We'll be back next week to talk that Luton game and look ahead to Sheffield Wednesday. But until then, come on, City.